Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Legacy Survival. And today we are in a thunderstorm because, while it's not likely to happen, I figured I would try to get at least one and show it. We're looking for a charged creeper. So I kind of waited around AFK'd for quite some time and waited for a thunderstorm to happen. So we're gonna go look around for a charged creeper. Hopefully it's almost nighttime. That'll increase our spawning chances. It is technically dark enough for mobs to spawn, but it's not that dark, so it's not likely. Ah, the thunderstorm cleared. That's unfortunate. Well, it looks like we won't be getting that today. If another thunderstorm happens, I'll come back and try to get it. But basically what I'm looking for is charged creepers, because charged creepers, when they explode now, on a creeper, zombie, or skeleton will drop a mob head. But I might not get to that in this episode. There will be ways later to manipulate where lightning spawns, which will make getting them a lot easier, but those are a few versions from now. As you can see, I've prepped my inventory here. We've got a whole boatload of crafting to do in this episode. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some of these stone bricks in a furnace. And we'll let those cook and come back to them later. In addition to those stone bricks, I'm going to put 2 slabs on top of each other. Chiseled stone bricks are now craftable, as are mossy stone bricks. So all of the stone brick variants are now craftable. You don't have to go explore, find them in the world to use them, which is pretty nice. Particularly for chiseled stone, the only way to get that was jungle temples, and now you can get it without those. The next item on the list here, using vines again, we have moss stone. So another decoration block that you do not need to find a structure for. In this case, the dungeon. Let's see. Looks like this is done. We have cracked stone bricks from smelting our stone brick. So let's put that away in here. And this here. Next up, we have red sand. Can now be turned into red sandstone, which, as I showed before, and we also have the variants of red sandstone. So smooth, slabs, stairs, chiseled, you get the idea. Next, we have another recipe with some pretty simple blocks. We have coarse dirt. So this is kind of like that dirt that we found in the mega taiga biomes. All that dirt is now coarse dirt, and it's basically just dirt that you can't go grass on. Everything else that you can do with dirt, you can do with coarse dirt. Next up, we have some of those stone blocks that I had before. If I split these stacks properly. We have crafting recipes for diorite, andesite, and granite. And let me make a bit of the andesite and granite. And of course we can make their smooth variants as well. Let's take this here and this here. There we go. And I don't think we can make them into slabs or stairs yet. Nope, that'll be a little bit later. So I can put those away in here. As you can see, I sort of restructured my chest layout a little bit. I have a couple more storage options. Things are better labeled. Took some time to do that. Thought it would be good. Next, we have those prismarine shards we got from the Guardians. Can be used to make all of the prismarine blocks, like so. Whoops, that's the wrong. There we go. Dark prismarine. And finally, the sea lantern. As you can see, you really don't get many prismarine crystals, so those are especially nice to pillage from the temple. Let's put these back in here. And back in the mob drops chest these go. Another mob drop crafting recipe. We have slime blocks, which can be used to bounce on. They can break a fall, and they have utility by sort of extending the way that sticky pistons can work. So put a block on the edge of a slime block attached to a sticky piston, and it'll pull and retract. It also works with normal pistons, but they don't retract the same. I also like it as sort of a scaffolding block because, as you can see, even when mined with an empty hand, it breaks instantly. So we're going to put this stuff away. I guess I can put this... Yeah, I'll put this in the redstone chest since it's mostly used with that. Let's see, next up here, we have iron trapdoors. Forgot about that. Another redstone component. Just, you know, an iron door, but it's a trapdoor instead of a full door. We can put these away as well. Next up, we have all of the wood variants are now craftable into their own individual doors and such. So we have the old classic oak door, of course. We also have the birch door, and as you can see, doors stack, and they also give more when you make them. Spruce, jungle, acacia, and dark oak. And in addition to the doors, also, we now have individual fences. So I'll make a couple sets of those. And fences are now crafted like so. They're a little bit more expensive now, unfortunately, but what can you do? Small price to pay for better decoration. I think I'm going to use some of these acacia fences to replace the wooden fences around my base. Or maybe I'll use jungle fences. Not totally sure yet. Jungle, spruce, and birch. And in addition to the fences, we also have new recipes for fence gates. We don't have all the special wood variants, so we don't have, you know, specific pressure plates, etc., but we do have these blocks now, and so that's another... Always nice to have more and more options for decoration. Put these away in here. And just so you know, these are the old petrified oak slabs that act like stone slabs. For some reason, the texture got broken in this update. I don't remember the specifics as to why, but there you go. They still function just the same. But they just look kind of like that in the inventory. Fortunately, they don't look like that when on the ground. That would be a bit of a bummer. You wouldn't be able to use them anymore. Well, I mean, you could, but it wouldn't look very good. Put all this stuff away. I can put away my red sandstone. And it looks like I have a couple too many stone bricks. Oh well. So let's put away that. And the chiseled variant, I didn't really show off what it looked like. It's got the wither on it. Pretty cool. Actually, maybe I'll put one of these right in here. There we go. Anyway, let's keep putting this stuff away. We only have a few more recipes to talk about. First being the armor stand. So now you can display your armor. And I didn't think this through, did I? Well, I'll put it there. Get my... There we go, my armor chest. I can put my leather armor on display. There we go. Nice looking armor stand. And finally, we have a very expensive recipe. Using 8 blocks of gold and an apple, we can now make enchanted golden apples, or notch apples as they're sometimes referred to. And doing that, we get a new achievement, Overpowered. As you can see, it's just craft a notch apple. So I think that's everything as far as crafting goes. Well, there's one other thing, but I need a little more prep to get to that. So I will come right back and we'll get working on those. In preparation for this next segment, I built this sheep farm between episodes. It's not, it's probably not the most efficient design. I just kind of made it off the top of my head. But as you can see, I can shear all of these sheep here. And I guess I forgot to make that one pink. Whoops. shear them all like so, and then once they're all sheared, with a single press of a button, it all gets pushed into these chests. So I needed a bit of wool for this update, which is why I made this in the first place. And there'll be some better tools to make this work a little bit better later, but for now this is kind of the best I can do. As you can see, it doesn't always perfectly work, but it usually works. I'm gonna grab, let's see, what other kind of wool color could I grab? Maybe, that one didn't get pushed either. I hadn't been having any issues with this before, but now suddenly I am. Guess that's just how it goes when you're recording. Let's see. Are they just not getting pushed beyond a certain point? Hold on, I might have broken some redstone here. Let me take a look. Yeah, I must have broken something here. I wonder how that happened. I'll have to fix that. Well, I digress. I have a lot of wool here because I want to make stuff with it. So we'll just start with this. Oh, and I want to grab some light blue. I think light blue would be good. Yeah, we can work with that. After all, we can always dye some wool if we need extra, right? So there we go. Pick that up. And head back over to the base for some crafting. You can also see in between episodes, I sort of expanded the tree farm out, so now I have all the different types of wood growing. I think I forgot to plant a sapling. So that's good. Back in we go, into the safety of our base. And if I take some ink sacs here, because I want to do this, make a little bit more, we can make banners now. So all different colors, basically, just, you know, made like a sign, and but with wool of the desired color. I don't really have necessarily every banner design thought of right now, but I've got a couple ideas. And then obviously, along with the banners, you put them in with some dye, and you can make all sorts of patterns. So sort of like that, or like this. I need to try and remember how to make... There's a specific one I want to make here, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I think it's like that. What about this? I'm trying to make the gradient pattern. It's kind of a bummer that I can't remember it. You would think I would know what I'm doing by now, but I guess not. But as you can see, there's a whole different variety of patterns that we can make. And you can also clone banners. So if I make another fresh black banner here, and hold on, I need to figure out how to make the gradient banner. Here we are. The gradient is done like so. So we have a nice gradient. And let's say that, you know, I have a nice banner design I have in mind, but it takes it takes a really expensive item, like a enchanted golden apple for the thing, which is the logo. Well, I can just take a blank banner, put it in, and I get a copy. So now I have two of the same banner. Pretty cool. So there's just a ton of different recipes and such for banners. It would take a long time to show them all, so I'm not going to. But, you know, there's a lot of great things you can do with them. And they're pretty awesome decorations. So I'm going to try to get creative with them. You might see them around certain areas as time goes on, and I think of more ideas. Another thing you can do with banners is, let's say I have this brown banner here, and I put some lime green on it, and I think, oh, that's a really ugly pattern. I don't really like that. Well, what you can do is you just take it over to a cauldron, and it takes off the most recent design. It doesn't strip off the whole thing, so if you have, you know, say, two designs on it, we'll have a corner here and a corner here, again, since I have a lot of lime green, I'm using it here. but strip it off and it only strips off one thing. And speaking of stripping things off of the cauldrons, you can also take dye off of leather armor now. And as you can see, each operation with either the banner or the leather armor, it takes one level of water out of the cauldron. So that's banners. And we're going to move on to the next thing now. I headed over to a nearby village because villager trading has been updated in this version, and also their mechanics have been updated as well. So if I put this horse somewhere, unfortunately I forgot to bring a lead, so I guess I won't be leaving him hitched up. Hopefully he won't get away from us. But villagers now have jobs indicated by their some text up here, and also sort of by their clothes, but certain villagers with the same clothing can have different jobs. So we have a fisherman, a fletcher, as you can see, and a farmer, all with the same clothing on. Also, you can see that our farmer villagers will go harvest ready crops, and they'll pick them up. They will turn wheat into bread. They'll also pick up carrots and potatoes and such, and they will share them with their fellow villagers. So to be able to breed, villagers have to be willing now. And for that, you can either trade with them, like so, or they can be given enough food to be willing. And farmers will now take food and they will share it with villagers if the population is low, and they'll breed, all on their own. As you can see, also, leveling up was introduced, so some of these trades weren't here previously, but now that I've traded with him a little bit, he wants to share some more with me. So I will take some emeralds for carrots here, and hopefully he'll trade with me again. Yep. It's not quite as sophisticated as it is nowadays, as you can see, but still, it is a step up from what it was before. I'm going to head back to the base now, because that is everything to show with villages. And one last thing I forgot to show in regards to crafting. If we take a cooked rabbit, a carrot, a baked potato, and a mushroom of either color, we get rabbit stew. So another food item. Pretty complex food item for honestly not too great. I think it only heals, I think like 5 hearts, but that's a lot less than the sum of its parts, so not something I see myself using. It's also pretty tedious to make and gather all the ingredients. So I'm here in the Nether to show some changes to mob AI. Now there's some specific changes, and there are also some across-the-board changes. Just in general, mob AI was made a bit smarter in this update, particularly for hostile mobs. Zombie pigmen will now forgive you after a little while. I'm not going to show that because I don't want to get beaten up by zombie pigmen again. Not after that last time. If I find a blaze, which I think I saw one wandering down here, and I have him charge up and shoot at me, you can see that he shoots all of his fireballs even if I'm behind a wall. So previously blazes were really, really annoying to fight because if you aggroed one, it would charge up its fireballs and it would wait until it could see you to fire each of them. So even between, it would even interrupt the volley to hold the last fireballs if you got out of its line of sight. But now they're a lot easier to fight because you can just make them waste their shots. Let's see if I can find any magma cubes around here. Magma cubes were changed as well in the way that they function. Well, I couldn't find any magma cubes in the Nether, so I decided to track down a slime instead, since they function much the same way. So previously, if you lured a slime into water, it would sink like a rock, but now it can actually float and chase after you. So this will just lead to slimes not constantly drowning in swamps, and they also would rapidly make their jumping sound in the water. Now that we're safely back in the base, it's time to check out some of the options that were introduced in this update. Well, first I guess I should talk about some statistics that were changed. So there was a couple new statistics introduced in this version. You have distance traveled while crouching, distance traveled while sprinting. We have time since last death here. We have conversations and trades with villagers right here. We have slices of cake eaten, cauldrons filled, water taken from cauldron, armor and banners cleaned, which for some reason banners cleaned is at 0, even though I have used that function twice. That's kind of weird. We have interactions with the brewing stand and the beacon. We have droppers and hoppers checked. We have note blocks played and tuned. We also have plants potted here. Then we have items enchanted and records played. Moving on to some options here. Difficulty is now per world, and it can be locked. Once unlocked, you can't really change it in that world unless you go mess with the world's files, so let's lock our world difficulty to hard. If we go into video settings, we can now change clouds between fancy, fast, and off, and we can also change entity shadows on or off. Finally, and here's the big one, skins finally use the modern system. So you have an overlay layer on all parts of the skin, not just the hat. You can also individually toggle different parts of the skin. So, you know, all of the legs and the arms, the hat as well. And as you can see, skins no longer have to be symmetrical either. So you can have an asymmetrical skin, and this is what my skin looks like. Guess you haven't really seen it in its full form until now. Now it's time for that part of the video where I rattle off a whole bunch of miscellaneous changes that don't really fit anywhere else. So firstly, we have buttons here. They can be placed on floors and ceilings. And I have one powering a dispenser, which can now be used to build constructs like snow golems, iron golems, and withers. It only really counts if you put the head on top, though. It won't really do anything else. Also, since I'm down here so low, you can see void fog no longer exists. Hooray, we can now see underground properly. Beacons can now be colored with stained glass, like so. Item frames can now be rotated to be 8 directions instead of just 4, and based on the rotation, a redstone comparator placed behind an item frame like so will output a different signal. Also, daylight sensors can now be inverted. So this one's solar powered, and this one checks for low light levels. Flaming arrows fired into water will now be extinguished properly, as you can see. And when you fire an arrow in water, it will quickly slow down after traveling only a few blocks, like that. The health bar now flashes based on the amount of health lost when taking damage. So as you can see, a little bit there for those hearts that were just taken, but some of the hearts were left. And if I take a lot of damage at once, you can see that flash there indicating how much health I lost in that short period of time. Pumpkins and melons will now be mined faster with an axe, which is pretty awesome because these were a pain to harvest before. When traveling through another portal, the portal will now drop you inside on the other end. Previously, it would drop you right outside the portal, kind of here or maybe here. But now we spawn in the block itself. Activator rails will now dismount any mob or player in the minecart when you pass over them. Baked potatoes and carrots now both restore half of a hunger point less. So baked potatoes now restore 2.5. Carrots now restore 1.5. As we can see, I'm bringing these skeletons over to the wolves, and the wolves will now hunt down and kill skeletons, and skeletons are terrified of them. Pretty funny, huh? There's a limit to how much you can copy written books now. As you can see, this book here is marked as the original. If I take one here, and I take it, copy of the original. Whoa, that's weird. I guess it's not used to them stacking, so now I have an illegal item? Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that. That's kind of cool. I wonder if it'll break later. Anyways, if I take this copy here, we have a copy of a copy. And if I take this copy of a copy, I can copy it no further. I don't know why they did that, but I guess they thought it was necessary. That's weird. I guess because they can't stack now, they didn't really account for that. Interesting. Anyways, just two more things that I can't exactly show off. Pertaining to skins, the slim versions of skins were added, so with the 3 pixel wide arms instead of 4, but I use a 4 pixel wide, so can't really show that with my own skin. And last but not least, well, actually last but least, because I really don't want to show it, if you take a tamed animal with a name tag and you kill it, it'll put a death message in the chat. But I'm not a monster, so I'm not going to do that. With that, I think that's everything in this update. Everything I could show, at least. And I will see you all next time.